There's a pickup truck parked in a driveway tonight that costs $60,000. That's the number on the sticker. That's the number the owner says when someone asks. And over the next 10 years, that truck is going to quietly take about $55,000 more out of his life than the boring sedan parked across the street. Not because he bought the wrong truck, because nobody ever showed him what a truck actually charges you not to buy it, but to keep it. I'm going to show you that number, every payment, every gallon, every renewal notice. And then I'm going to make the honest case for the truck because there is one and it's better than you think. By the end, you'll know exactly which side of this you're on. To see it clearly, we need two people who are identical in every way except one decision. So let's build them. Meet Weeze and Nora. They work at the same company. They both take home about $72,000 a year. Same commute, 22 minutes each way. Neither one of them tows anything. Neither one hauls anything heavier than groceries and a Christmas tree once a year. On paper, these two lives are the same life. Then one Saturday, they each go sign for a vehicle. Weeze buys the truck, full-size crew cab, four-wheel drive, $60,000. He puts a little down and finances the rest over 6 years, and his payment lands around $950 a month. He sits in the driver's seat before he even pulls out of the lot, and everything about it feels correct, higher than everyone, solid, like the kind of guy who could help you move. Nora buys the sedan, $28,000, 5-year loan, payment around $490 a month. Nobody compliments it. Nobody asks about it. It's a car. Right there on day one, Weeze is paying about $460 more every month than Nora. And if the story ended there, this would be a short video. $460 a month for something you love, that's a defensible trade. Plenty of people make it happily. But the payment is the part everyone sees. It's not the part that gets you. Here's the number that changes this whole conversation, and it comes from AAA, the same people who show up when your battery dies. Every year they publish a study on what it actually costs to drive, per mile, all in. Fuel, insurance, maintenance, tires, registration, depreciation, everything. For a small sedan, they measure about 56 cents a mile. For a half-ton pickup, they measure about 99 cents a mile. Almost double every single mile, not the miles to the lake on a Saturday. Every mile, the one to the office, the one to the grocery store, the one to pick up a kid who forgot their bag. Sit with that for a second because most people never do the second half of that math. The average American drives about 15,000 miles a year. Run Nora's sedan at 56 cents and you get roughly $8,400 a year to own and operate that car. Run Weeze's truck at 99 cents and you get roughly $14,800. That's a gap of about $6,400 every year for two people going to the same office on the same road at the same time. And it's worth pulling that number apart because it isn't one big leak, it's 4 small ones. The first is fuel. Weeze's truck does about 22 miles to the gallon on a good day. Nora's sedan does about 32. Same 15,000 miles, same station, same price on the sign, and Weeze hands over roughly $700 more every year. That's a car payment, it's just spread across 52 Saturday mornings, so it never once feels like one. The second is insurance, and this is the one that surprised me. Part of it is obvious, a truck is bigger, heavier, and more expensive to replace, so it costs more to cover. Fine. But part of it is something almost no truck owner knows. The National Insurance Crime Bureau tracks what actually gets stolen in this country. And full-size pickups have the highest theft rate of any vehicle category in America. Not sports cars, trucks. Thieves want the tailgates, the doors, the engines, parts that move fast and don't come with questions. That's not an insult to anybody who drives one. It's a line item in your premium. And you pay it every single month whether or not a human being ever touches your truck. The third is maintenance, and it's the boring one that quietly wins. Bigger tires, bigger brakes, more oil in the pan. Every part of a truck is a larger, heavier version of the same part on a sedan, and larger and heavier cost more. You feel that one the first time you replace all 4 tires. And the fourth is registration. In a lot of states, what you pay to keep a vehicle legal is tied to what it weighs or what it's worth. The truck is heavier and worth more, so it costs more to simply exist in a driveway doing nothing. None of those 4 is a decision, that's the point. You decided once on a Saturday and the other 4 collect quietly for the next decade. That's not a payment difference anymore. That's a second rent payment hiding in plain sight that Weeze never agreed to and never sees on any statement because it arrives in pieces. A little at the pump, a little at renewal, a little at the tire shop, never enough at once to feel like a decision. Watch how that works inside a single month. It's March, 2 things land on Weeze in the same week. The truck needs tires, all 4, and they're not the ones sitting on the shelf. That's $1,200. Then the insurance renewal arrives and it went up again the way everything has. Nora gets a version of the same week. Her sedan needs tires too, $480. Her renewal went up as well. Same month, same road salt, same winter. One of them absorbs it and has forgotten about it by Sunday. The other one moves money around quietly and doesn't mention it to anybody. And here's the thing, neither of those weeks feels like a financial decision. That's exactly why it works. The truck never sends a bill that says truck on it. It sends a tire bill and a fuel bill and a renewal notice, and every one of them arrives alone, wearing its own name. Now that gap doesn't stay at $6,400 forever, and I'm not going to pretend it does. Once both loans are paid off, it narrows a lot. The truck still drinks more, still costs more to insure, still eats tires that cost twice as much, but the biggest pieces settle down. Added up honestly across 10 years, and the difference lands somewhere around $45,000. $45,000, same job, same road, same 22-minute commute. But money doesn't just disappear, it goes somewhere, so let's follow Nora's. Nora doesn't feel poor. She's driving a perfectly good car with heated seats and a warranty. But she never signed up for that extra money, so she does the one thing almost nobody actually does. She sets up an automatic transfer on the first of the month, sends the difference into a plain index fund, and then she forgets the account exists. She's not investing a fortune. Averaged across the decade, it works out to a few $100s a month, but it goes every month and she never touches it. Let's watch the two of them year by year. Year 1, Wes has a truck that turns heads at every job site and every family cookout. His brother-in-law asks to borrow it twice. Nora has a sedan nobody mentions and a few $1,000s in an account nobody knows about. If you took a photograph of these two lives right now, Wes is winning and it isn't close. This is the year that sells trucks. Year 2, nothing dramatic happens. That's what makes it dangerous. Wes gets used to the payment the way you get used to a sound in your house. Nora gets used to the transfer the same way. Neither of them thinks about vehicles at all this year. And the gap opens by another $6,000 anyway without either of them making a single decision. Year 3, the truck is just his truck now. The compliments stopped a long time ago and it's already been in the shop for a set of tires that cost more than his first car payment ever did. Nora's account has quietly crossed $20,000. She still hasn't looked at it. Year 5, both loans are winding down. Wes finally feels the payment lift, and for about a month it feels like a raise. Then the insurance renewal comes and the registration and a repair that isn't covered anymore, and the raise evaporates. Nora's account is somewhere near $40,000. She started to notice. And somewhere in there, call it year 6, something happens that has nothing to do with cars. A position opens up 2 states away. Better title, better money, but it's a move, and moving costs money before it pays any. Nora runs the numbers on a Sunday night and finds out she can just do it. The account she forgot about covers the deposit, the truck rental, the month of overlap where you're paying for 2 places at once. Wes runs the same numbers and finds out he can't, not comfortably, not without borrowing. He's not broke, he makes $72,000 a year, same as her. He just doesn't have anything loose because $600 a month of loose has been going somewhere else since the day he signed. He stays and it's fine, it's genuinely fine, and he tells himself so. But this is the part of the math that doesn't show up in the math. The truck didn't just cost him money, it cost him the version of the next 10 years where he had a choice. Year 7 is where it gets uncomfortable, because this is where the thing nobody warns you about shows up. Wes goes to trade the truck, and he finds out what a truck is worth after 7 years of being a truck. Now, to be fair, trucks hold their value better than most vehicles. That's real. But $60,000 of anything falls a long way, and about a fifth of that fell in the first 12 months alone before he'd even finished breaking it in. He didn't lose that money in a crash. He lost it to sunlight and time, and the odometer turning over. Year 8, the truck is out of warranty now, and things start needing attention that used to just work. Nothing catastrophic. A sensor, a leak, a noise, the kind of repair that each time feels like bad luck and only looks like a pattern when you add up the year. And here's the part I find genuinely interesting, because it stopped being about trucks a while ago. We are very good at judging one big number, $60,000. We know how to think about that. We compare it to our salary, we sleep on it, we negotiate it, we feel it in our chest. We are terrible at judging a small number that repeats. 99 cents a mile doesn't feel like anything at all. It's less than a candy bar. It's less than the change sitting in the cup holder. But you are going to do it 150,000 times. That's the whole thing, and nobody's playing a trick on you. The dealership isn't hiding it. It's just that the sticker is one number with a person standing next to it explaining what it means, and the truck is thousands of tiny numbers with nobody standing next to any of them. And there's a second thing going on, and this one's more human than financial. Almost nobody buys a truck for the life they have. They buy it for the life they might have. The move you might help your brother with, the dirt bike you've been thinking about, the lumber for the deck you're going to build in the spring, the trailer you don't own yet, for the boat you don't own yet, for the lake you go to twice a year. None of that is stupid. That's just being a person. We all buy a little bit of capability we don't use because the version of ourselves who uses it is a version we'd like to be. The problem is that capability isn't free to hold. A truck charges you rent on a possibility, every day whether the possibility shows up or not. And here's the uncomfortable question buried in that, and I'd ask it gently because I've asked it of myself about other things I've bought. How many times, honestly, in the last 12 months did you need the bed? Not needed, couldn't have done it otherwise. If the answer is a lot, this video was never about you, and we'll get to that in a second. But if the answer is 3 or 4 times, then you're renting a warehouse to store a ladder you use twice a year, and there are much cheaper ways to move a ladder. Year 10, let's total it up. Nora's account, the one she forgot about, is sitting around $65,000. She didn't pick a single stock, she didn't watch a single chart, she just kept sending money to a place that wasn't the gas station. And Wies has a paid-off truck that still runs great and is genuinely worth something. Call it $18,000. Nora's sedan is worth maybe $8,000. So credit Wies the $10,000 difference in what they're each driving. He earned that. Trucks hold value and it counts. Even after crediting it, Nora is ahead by more than $50,000. Same salary, same road, same 10 years. One of them bought a vehicle, the other one bought a vehicle and a house down payment and only ever noticed the vehicle. And it's worth saying out loud what that kind of money actually is, because a number that size goes abstract fast. It's a down payment on a house across most of this country. It's 4 years of daycare. It's the difference between retiring when you plan to and retiring when your body decides for you. That is not fun money. That's the kind of money that decides which decade you get your life back in. Now here's where I have to be straight with you, because I said I'd make the case for the truck and I meant it. Everything I just showed you assumes the truck is doing nothing that a car couldn't do. Commuting, groceries, looking good in a driveway. That is not everybody. If you tow a trailer, that truck is not a cost. It's a tool, and it's replacing rentals that would run you a couple $100s a weekend. If you work out of the bed, if you're hauling lumber or tools or equipment, that truck isn't spending your money, it's earning it, and this entire video does not apply to you. If you live somewhere with a real winter and a road that stops being a road in February, that 4-wheel drive is not a luxury. It's the reason you get to work. And there's one more, and I'm not going to pretend it isn't real. Some people just love trucks, that's allowed. Nobody runs a spreadsheet before buying a boat, and nobody should have to justify enjoying their own life. A thing you love that you use every day is not a bad purchase just because a chart says so. And there's a third option in this whole thing that neither Wies nor Nora took, and it's probably the best one on the table. Wies could have bought the same truck 3 years old. Somebody else eats the first fifth of the depreciation, the part that vanishes before the truck is even broken in. He gets the same bed, the same tow rating, the same 4-wheel drive in February. He borrows $20,000 less over a shorter term and his insurance drops with the value. He doesn't get the smell, that's what he gives up. The smell and the badge being the newest one on the street. Run that version and Wies keeps most of the truck and most of the money. He doesn't beat Nora, he still drives the thirsty thing. But the gap stops being $50,000 and starts being something a person can actually live with. Nobody talks about that option because there's no commercial for it and nobody at a dealership makes their month on it. The math here isn't a verdict, it's a price tag on a decision most people make without ever seeing one. So the question was never truck or car. The question is this: is the truck working for you or are you working for the truck? If it's hauling, towing, or getting you through a winter, it's earning its keep, and the numbers in this video are the cost of a tool, which is a completely different thing. But if it's carrying you and a coffee cup to the same office that a sedan would reach at the same minute, then it isn't costing you $60,000. It's charging you rent 99 cents at a time, every mile for 10 years. And now you know the number on the sticker was never the number.